3D printing has been around for almost 25 years now. But for a long time it was used for engineers and by engineers for prototyping new products that they would then mass produce. What we did in 2007 is we realized basically that, hey, why don't we use this amazing technology to give anyone access to manufacturing? Why don't we use this technology, these 3D printers, to make actual final products?
The 3D printing, it's a rapid prototyping technology. The same way that you might carve something out of wax or make a little sculpture, glue a bunch of matchsticks together and make a castle, is the same way now you might sit down at your computer and use a CAD program like Rhino or Maya to sculpt something and then print it out. So for me, 3D printing was a way to bring together art and science. Like, I was able to express the artistic thing that I could see in my head, but use really precise techniques and technology to realize that.
You know, if you understand 3D printing to mean the deposition and/or fusing of material by layer, it really opens up what you could consider 3D printing to be. I think the most interesting advancements in terms of where 3D printing is and is going have to do with dimensionality and materials. So both at the small scale of dimensions and the large scale. Like, people are getting parts scanned in their body to get custom implants made for, like, if they're having heart troubles and things like that. Or at the very, very big scale, like the large gantry mounted kind of building scale applications. I think those are really interesting. And then shifting out of plastics into things like ceramics, like other biological materials that people are looking at printing in. Really, that opens up what 3D printing is and what its applications can be in a kind of exponential rate in terms of where it would go and what you would do with it.
It's a good time for experimentation. It's a good time to think about how something that's as old as the clothing industry could be redefined with new technologies. We use digital fabrication technologies and software techniques to invent what fashion design means for a digital age. Artists are always the early adopters. We essentially want to be the first fashion label that's software. We started working with 3D printing because we like this idea of, like, could we make clothing without sewing? Having one machine that can make really impossible shapes is a huge benefit. So this is a 3D printed bikini. And so how this is done is, after we model this 3D shape, it actually fills the surface that you want with this geometry that creates this fabric-like structure. We felt that people really understood shoes. So our goal is to actually have like a dedicated shoe printer in a store, and then people could like print their shoes. Or you could even have like basically a printer you would buy just to be able to make yourself as many shoes as you want.
Inspiration, I think, is one of the things that most people need to really get started, especially with new technology. So now what we've therefore created are creators and our co-creation platform is where you can adapt in a very fun and easy way existing designs. So Shapeways, we built the basic platform to enable people to upload and print the designs they care for. You can share it with your friends. You can even open a shop and you can start selling your new invention, your new creative idea to a worldwide audience.
Like, the one thing that's really interesting about this technology is that it's more accessible. Because it's more accessible, it's not only the hardware is more accessible, it's also the language that it's been coded in is more accessible. Also, the learning resources that you need to be able to do it yourself is also more accessible. Right? So now all of a sudden, the big walls that existed before in terms of who had the privilege of being able to create what and largely dictate how people used it are gone. But again, I mean, I think it just goes down to the fact that, you know, information is everywhere now. Everyone has access to it, and it's very easy to do whatever you want with it. The technology that exists today, it also shapes the way that you think about what the possibilities of tomorrow might be. So if you have a great idea, that idea might not be ready to come into the world yet until there's a mechanism put in place, right, that makes that idea now realizable.
People are comparing the 3D printing revolution to the revolution that happened with personal computing. I don't necessarily think there'll be a 3D printer in every home, but I think there'll be a 3D printed product in every home. There'll be an application for it for everyone.